to get through a workout. Once you feel him and you sweat with him and you watch other guys go, the mask is off. And Chimaev is very much one of these guys that has a...
The phrase, "the mask is off," isn't just some catchy headline you throw around for clicks. We're talking about something fundamental here, something that cuts to the very core of reputation versus reality in the brutal world of combat sports. Think about it. Chimaev has spent years cultivating this image, this aura of complete, utter invincibility. He's built himself up as this near mythical figure, someone who's just on a different level. But here's where it gets interesting. Strickland, with his absolutely no-nonsense, brutally honest approach to everything, has this unique way of stripping away these facades. He doesn't care about the hype or the mystique. When you train alongside someone, especially someone as unyielding and relentless as Strickland, you see the raw human beneath all the legend and the marketing. You see them when they're tired, when they're frustrated, when they're struggling. This interaction between these two, regardless of who actually won the sparring session or how it went down, reveals something crucial. It reveals that Chimaev, like literally every single fighter who's ever stepped into a cage, has moments of vulnerability. He has moments of...
Strickland versus Khamzat Chimaev. What happened in the training room? Now, Daniel Cormier talked about this, and I'm glad that he said it because it's what everybody's wondering. There was people that were there when they trained. Khamzat has one opinion. He whipped Sean.
So, the initial clash of narratives between Strickland and Chimaev, the one that Daniel Cormier highlighted and broke down for everyone, is way more than just a simple he said, she said situation. This is a fascinating deep dive into the competitive psyche of elite athletes. And I'm talking about the absolute top tier here. Both of these men are deeply, intensely invested in their perception of dominance. It's everything to them. Chimaev claiming he whipped Strickland in training, and Strickland just dismissing it completely, saying it didn't happen that way, isn't just about winning a sparring session in some gym somewhere. It's about controlling the narrative. It's about asserting psychological superiority even when you're outside the cage, even when there are no judges and no referee. This is the kind of stuff that sets the stage for a simmering rivalry that impacts public perception.
Sanders. I'm so curious. Now, there's a rule in the practice room that what happens in the room stays in the room. And you would be stunned at how fiercely loyal to that code the entire industry is. But those guys have already stepped outside it. Right? Whether that happened or that didn't happen, those guys have already stepped outside it. So we're...
Now, the unspoken code of the practice room, this sacred rule where what happens there stays there, is a deeply held trust in combat sports. It's fundamental. Yet, here we see both Chimaev and Strickland breaking it, albeit indirectly through interviews and comments. This breach isn't just about gossip or locker room drama. It's about a serious escalation of mind games. The speaker's insistence on finding the third man or the fourth man who was there, who witnessed what actually went down, isn't just for verification or fact-checking. It's a call to unravel the motivations behind breaking that sacred code in the first place. Why now? What prompted this? Why did these two specific individuals, both known for their incredibly strong personalities and their unwillingness to back down, decide to lift the veil on what happened in training? It suggests...
It's like this big secret, and it didn't used to be. And Chimaev is one of the great media darlings in the history of the sport. Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey, Chimaev. Where the media was just drawn to him and used to get so much information. We got everything. We got personal...
Chimaev's journey from being a media darling to becoming an allegedly veiled figure is honestly a poignant commentary on the pressures of fame and the deliberate shaping of public image in this sport. He was once an open book, right? A rising star whose every move, both personal and professional, was eagerly consumed by fans and media alike. This transparency fostered a real connection with fans. It built his aura as this relatable, yet incredibly dangerous fighter on the rise. The shift to secrecy isn't just random or because he got shy. It's a calculated move or a reaction to increased scrutiny as he climbed the ranks. It makes you wonder what changed. Perhaps the stakes got higher. Perhaps the mask became a necessity to maintain a certain mystique
Let us in. We got to go with him in a car. When him and Darren Till went grocery shopping, and by the way, it was interesting. I mean, like, this dude was, he couldn't miss. If you can hit when you're grocery shopping, right, you can't.
The anecdote about Chimaev and Darren Till grocery shopping together, which seems so mundane and everyday, is actually incredibly insightful when you think about it. It speaks to a specific time in Chimaev's career when he was seen as unmissable, a fighter whose trajectory was solely, relentlessly upwards, even in the most ordinary scenarios like buying groceries. This era of he couldn't miss created an almost mythical expectation around him. Everything he touched turned to gold. The contrast with his current, mum's the word status, this tight-lipped approach, isn't just about media access or availability. It's about the burden of that expectation. When you're constantly hitting, when you're constantly exceeding expectations, the pressure to maintain that
performance. The word. He's not traveling, he's changing weight classes. He's not traveling because he can't travel, he can't get to the U.S. The stories of him can't get into the U.S. is while he was holding training camp in the U.S. As a matter of fact, it was the very time that he was in Las Vegas training with Sean Strickland, but everything just got quiet. Now, what's Chimaev gonna do?
The confusion surrounding Chimaev's travel issues and his simultaneous training in the U.S. is a perfect example of a narrative fighters construct and deconstruct for strategic purposes. The can't travel narrative, while he was actively training in Vegas with Strickland and others, points to a carefully managed public relations strategy. It's not just about logistics or visa problems. It's about controlling information, perhaps to create a sense of mystery or to avoid specific matchups that might not be advantageous at that moment. This strategic opacity directly contributes to the mask Chimaev wears. It makes it harder for rivals like Strickland to get a clear read on him, both physically in terms of his training.
Glenn Duplessis wants a rematch. Chimaev's going to leave the division. He's going up 205 pounds. Like, it's just been really hard to get any level of clarity. So now Chimaev is back to training. Khalil Roundtree goes out and trains with him. It was pretty incredible. It was pretty incredibly difficult.
The difficulty in getting any real clarity on Chimaev's future, whether he's staying in his current division or moving up in weight, reflects the shifting sands of a top fighter's career at this level. This isn't just about physical weight or how much he can cut. It's about mental calculation, strategic positioning within the UFC rankings, and managing the demands and call-outs of multiple contenders, all vying for a shot. The fact that it's just been really hard to get any level of clarity, as the speaker notes, shows how a fighter's camp can intentionally create ambiguity. This can be a form of psychological warfare, keeping opponents guessing about what's next, or it could genuinely reflect an internal struggle with career direction, with figuring out the best path forward. All of this contributes to the mask of the unreadable.
I don't know that I would dispute the rumor, but it is still a rumor that he wanted to go up to 205 pounds. And not go up to 205 pounds because of Pierre or to become champ because he didn't want to go back to 85. Like, he looked big.
The speculation about Chimaev's motivations for potentially moving to 205 pounds specifically to avoid the brutal process of cutting back down to 185 rather than for a genuine champ goal is really telling. This shifts the narrative from pure ambition and hunger for glory to a more pragmatic, perhaps even reluctant decision influenced by the grueling reality of weight cutting and the toll it takes on the body. If true, it reveals a human vulnerability beneath the mask of the unstoppable force. It suggests a strategic retreat from a physically draining aspect of the sport that he might be tired of dealing with. This offers a glimpse.
A confusing division as well. We haven't heard from Imanov what that negotiation looked like. Right? Generally, like, the scorn lover is the first one to come out and start telling us what happened and how they were wrong.
The observation that Izzy, the scorned lover in the Strickland fight, someone who felt he got robbed or didn't get his due, hasn't publicly aired his grievances, is actually pretty striking. In the highly theatrical world of combat sports, the wrong party often leverages their narrative for a rematch or public sympathy. They go on podcasts. They make statements. Izzy's silence is unusual and could suggest a different psychological approach, perhaps a quiet resolve. a strategic withholding of information, or simply a deeply private personality that doesn't engage in the public back and forth. This contrasts sharply with the public spat between Strickland and Chimaev, highlighting the varying ways fighters
the same experience with Sean Strickland that I had with Sean Strickland. And Drickus was talking about, man, the first time you go with this guy, you think he's a wrestler. When you don't know anything about him, and you haven't met yet, and you just feel him, at the end of the workout, you think he's a...
Drakkar's experience with Sean Strickland, particularly the revelation that Strickland initially feels like a wrestler when you engage with him, is a fantastic insight into Strickland's deceptive fighting style. This isn't just about technique or specific moves. It's about managing expectations and surprising opponents. The initial perception of a fighter can be a powerful psychological tool. Strickland's ability to disguise his full skill set, to make an opponent feel him in a way that suggests one thing while he's capable of another, is a subtle form of masking his true abilities. It makes
workout, you think he's a wrestler. Drickus talked about how hard he was to take down, talked about he's even harder to keep.
Drakkar emphasizing how difficult Strickland is to take down and even harder to keep down once you do get him. There speaks volumes about Strickland's mental fortitude and core strength. This isn't just about physical prowess or how strong he is. It's about an unwavering will, a refusal to quit. To resist takedowns and regain position requires a relentless spirit, a refusal to be controlled by anyone. This characteristic, observed in training, is a hidden weakness for any opponent attempting to impose their grappling game on him. It reveals a fundamental toughness.
Talked about he's even harder to keep there. And it's a very interesting concept. I mean, Drickus went as far as to say that he thinks that Sean's got a very good chance in the fight, and he said in a stand-up realm that Sean is much better than Chimaev. Now, I would challenge Drickus on that, but I would challenge him very respectfully, like as the former champ.
But Drakkar's assertion that Strickland is meaningfully better in the striking than Chimaev is a bold claim, especially considering Chimaev's own capabilities. This can be influenced by specific experiences, by the style matchup. This isn't just about who is objectively better. It's about how different opponents perceive the same fighter based on their own strengths and weaknesses. This dissects the mask that fighters present. Chimaev's perceived striking dominance versus Strickland's perhaps underestimated stand-up, revealing how subjective these assessments can be depending on who you ask.
I would challenge him very respectfully, like as the former champion who's been in the ring the better part of 75 minutes with these guys. He has the right to his opinion, but it did surprise me. Like, what do you mean meaning Strickland? What do you mean he's meaningfully better in the striking than Chimaev? Where did you test Chimaev? Head. One guy sat out the round before, and the other guy had his hardest round the round before, and now it's right. There's all sorts of things, and there's all sorts of math that's going on in a fighter's mind. Like, a fighter could openly lose rounds to another guy and go, no, but I got the best of you, and then have his reasons why.